Welcome to the bagger life. Today we're going to try to take a West Tack cylinder head temperature gauge and get it mounted in the fairing where the air temperature gauge. So I pre-prepped most of the screws out of the fairing, so we just have this one last one holding everything together. So take the balance piece off. Little flex windshield should slide out. We'll get it out of the way. And then dash bag should come out. And with any luck, we'll be free to take the outer fairing shell off. Go reach back in here and unplug the headlight. And then the rest of this should just walk right off. All right, bearings removed. Now, our path to our chosen piece is down in there somewhere. This may be a little more work than I anticipated, but let's see what we can see. Yeah, it's right back up in there. Well, that's going to be a lot of work. Let me get some more stuff prepped. All right, so kind of just a few minutes of disassembly of unplugging a couple things, and I've made a little clear space back to that gauge, and if this gauge works like the Westerberg gauge does, I need to get those screws undone, and it should slide out the front, so I'm going to give that a shot. All right. So that worked. I was able to pull the old gauge out and slip everything, the back piece out the back, and the front piece came out here. The problem now is I got the West Tack gauge, and it's not quite small enough to fit through that Kuryakin plastic chromed vanity cover that's on the dash. So I've been working it just a little bit, and I've got it to come away without breaking, and I'm thinking I can take this gauge and maybe just delicately slip it back here and get it into place. And boom, it's in there. All right, well, that was a bit easier than I thought. Let's take a look at it on the back side. Looking back through there, we're looking at that bare piece. Well, that's not going to be a pleasure to get anything attached to. It's right back up in there. All right, well, let me do a little bit of thinking here, and I'll get back to you. Okay, I think we have a plan. So to give myself a little more room to work, I've taken the fuel gauge above out, so I can have a little more space to access the hole down below. I've got the wiring loom set up on this. Get the gauge orientated right. Give it a little push in. Now we need to get the staking plate, and we have those two little screws. Sorry, I'm going to need both hands to fish that on there. Be back in a minute. All right, with the aid of some long needle nose pliers, I was able to get back in there and get everything positioned and sorted out. Now we'll take those 2 white wires real quick and we'll find where they plug in. We'll get this other gauge mounted back up real quick. Gauge here that we're working with, the fuel gauge. Get the fuel gauge. Slip back in, and this has a couple notches on it that line up in the fairing. Alright, so now the gauge is in from the front. Get set in there from the back. We'll grab our little bar, finger tight, get it plugged back in, reinstall the light. Now all we gotta do is figure out where the rest of this mess goes. Alright. Couple more things to figure out where they go. The headlight. Everything looks like she's reconnected for the most part, so now we should be able to go back on with the front bike. Grab the dash bags, the windshield. Get that slotted back in. Grab our first bolt and get the trim piece on there. And then we got 4 more bolts that go on the inside of the fairing. Alright, now we have 2 of these thermal units. And they look pretty much like this. We need to get them on the spark plugs. So a spark plug here and a spark plug over here. So we'll take the boot off. Get the plug out. We'll have a look at the plug, see how everything's doing. Running? A little too rich. Now, normally I just throw in new spark plugs, but I don't have any. And I need to get that crush washer. Oh, maybe I need to get the crush washer off the plug. Yeah, I'm going to take the crush washer off the plug. Now, you're probably thinking with the crush washer off the plug, it's not going to make a seal, but actually, we're going to use this ring for this plug for the seal. So need to get that bent up. Probably about like that. Maybe start to get that routed in there. And that heat ring will set down on there like that. Then the plug will go in, and the heat ring will act like the seal for the plug. And the plug's in tight. Temperature sensor's on there. Boot's back on. We'll do the same for the other side, and we'll connect those, and everything should be hooked up. So give me a minute, I'll bring you back. Okay, so both the temperature probes are on the plugs. They're routed up and out of the way we want to connect these. I'll finish up loosening up the wires, and she should be good to go. Alright, we've had the bike running, things are starting to warm up, and there's the cylinder head temperature gauge. They're working, so we'll see how things start to run once we get running down the road. Thanks for watching.